Hi and welcome to my PlayHouse. And today I'm gonna be doing a very simple task. Hopefully I'm gonna be installing a Server 2016 on as a virtual machine on VMware ESXi. I'm actually gonna install it on an older version of ESXi. I'm gonna be installing it on a 6.0 just because, well, that was the server that I was just gonna put it on that. We're gonna try and go through most of the stuff that we could come across, or that you could come across if you want to go do this yourself. Let's see what we got. Here I have my web browser and I have the VMware vCenter installed on the server that we are installing this on, so we get different options. So even though I'm installing on an old 6.0 ESXi server, I have the latest version of vCenter here. It's a vCenter standard, so it's not a big deal of any sort. But to go in and control it, we have two options. We can WebSphere web client with Flash and WebSphere client HTML5. The HTML5 is the better one because you don't need the Flash crap. But the Flash, it has more options, so it's really ridiculous. They have kind of made a product that it's not done. It's one of the biggest complaints about VMware at the moment is that they are pushing out products that are half done. It's really counting down. In the back old days, we had this very nice WebSphere client. It worked flawlessly. Apparently flawlessly was not good enough. I'm gonna be running the Flash version here. We get to a sign on here and I'm gonna give it the administrator, and it's kind of, it needs to know where to go with that. Here we are, and right now I have only put in one VMware host into this vCenter server. It's this server down here that is running vCenter, or actually that's the vCenter server. I want to put a server 2016 on here together with these other servers that I'm running. I am right now running a old server 2003. I have a jump server here which is on a Windows 7. I have a Lenovo Xclarity administrator also running. Then I've been playing around with some Nutanix that is currently off. I have my pfSense router and I have the vCenter 6.5. If you want to go and get Windows Server 2016, I have found that you can just go Google and you can say Server 2016. Server 2016 download, just hit that and you get on the very first one, and you can see that I have been in here. Microsoft, they have an evaluation where you can pick, there is 3 different options: Asia, ISO and Virtual Lab. If we just pick an ISO file and continue, you can fill in your first, last, company name, work email address, work phone number and country. It will probably also ask for your shoe size, firstborn child, and so on. Eventually, I'm pretty sure you would get an ISO file that you could install Server 2016 from. So we're not going to do that because I have already downloaded one version. It might be a bit old, but I guess it's good enough. So let's go back to here, and we're gonna create a new server. And I'm gonna create it in this group that I have for active servers. So there is multiple ways of doing this. You can right click and select a new virtual machine right there. There is also a button right down here. There is also a action button up here, new virtual machine. I'm guessing that this button is the same, create new virtual machine. So there's at least 4 ways of doing the same thing on this screen. Yeah, you got it. That's absolutely stupid. Too many ways to do the same thing. Let's try that one. So we can create a new virtual machine. Yeah. The first splash screen here, we didn't really need to get that. They could have jumped directly to the next screen, where we have to give it a name. So we will give it a name, and this virtual machine is gonna be a manager for my Ubiquiti network software. So I will go get a really good name for that. Okay, that's what I came up with. Ubiquiti manager. I'm so creative, I know. And I'm gonna be putting it here on this data center. So next. And we're gonna be putting it in active servers. So that's a go. And there is way too many selections here. They could have cut that down. And we're gonna put it on these SSDs. I have two iSCSI SANs. LAN 1 and LAN 2 is both 2 terabyte iSCSI SANs, both on a couple of Dell Ecologic SANs, but I'm gonna be putting them locally on these SSDs. That's 3 256 gigabyte SSDs that are in there. Next. And let's see, we want the latest. This is what virtual hardware the virtual machine will be presented. Like the server 2016 will be presented some hardware. So ESXi will tell the Windows machine, well, you have this network card, you have this RAID controller, you have this, you have that, and so on. And there are different versions. Every time there's a new version of ESXi, well, the hardware level rises, and it doesn't usually create any problems, but it's something to be aware of. So we will be good with 6.0. Next. Then we can pick what kind of a operating system we want here. There is Windows, there is Linux, there is others, and there is different Windows version. And it does see 2016, so we're gonna be selecting that one. But it does also see other operating systems like Mac OS. You can even put ESXi on ESXi. Other Sun Solaris, Open Server, Sun Microsystem, Oracle, Solaris, Noble Netware, IBM. A lot of good stuff. Let's go back to Windows, Server 2016. Next. It's thinking about that. So I have no idea what the requirements for this software is, but all of this I can change afterwards. So I'm just gonna pick something. It's usually good to select at least 2 CPUs in a virtual machine. 1 CPU, well, you get a bottleneck. 2 CPUs is usually a lot better. 4 gigs of RAM, I can change it at any point. 40 gigabytes of hard disk, I hope that's good enough. I'm gonna go down and make sure that thin provisioning is selected, because right here it's actually a thick provisioning. So I want thin provisioning, and that does so that the space is not used on the hard drive until the operating system of the virtual machine actually uses it. If you use the thick way, it's preserved and no one else can use that space. So this is way better. There's a lot of options here. This is really cluttered up. Take that away. So 4 gigabytes of memory, 40 gigabytes of hard disk space. I will change the network. Right now it's set to internet. I have 2 networks. One that goes out to the internet and one that is the internal network, which is that one, VMware network. The other one is mostly used for the router, and that routes the internet to the internal net. Then we need the cd-rom drive down here, because we do need to connect our ISO file for server 2016. So we'll pick a ISO file, and I just happen to know that it's located on this, and it's located under this, and under Microsoft Server, and there will be a server 2016 folder, and we gotta select the right one. Oh, that's let's see, this is an technical preview, so that's no good. This one looks a lot better. What's the top one? That's an release. I always forget to clean up in these ISO files. It's always and that can be kind of a problem. So this one is probably much like the evaluation version that we could download from Microsoft's page. But I'm hoping this one will be better. Yeah, this one has the newer date, so we're gonna be picking that one. Check ISO file. We're gonna connect and power on. So this is the cd-rom drive, and this is kind of as the same as putting the CD in the cd-rom drive of the server, and the server will boot on this. So that's hopefully that's good. Then we have a floppy drive. I usually try to remove that floppy drive. Remove. We never use that anymore. I never use that anymore. You might. I don't. Next, we get a summary. Okay, pretty good. Let's see if we have done anything stupid. We are creating a virtual machine. We are blah 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 on that host. Active servers, pools, 2 CPUs, 4 gigs of RAM, 1 network card. That's probably okay. Yeah, I think we're good. So let's do that. And it has created. It's kind of an empty shell for the server. Let's pick it, and we get a summary of what it has done. Right now we can see up here under the storage used that this server is taking up 1.89 kilobytes, so nothing on there yet. So let's open up a console window for it. Let's see, choose the default console, web console. Let's try that one, see if that will do it. Yeah, it opens up something. Always trust. Yeah, we trust this one. Just created it. So VMware, we'll go back to that one, and then we'll power on our server, and hopefully it will boot from our CD. We have different options here, but right now the only thing we can do is power it on. Power on. Powering on. And it immediately finds the Windows and is starting to load files. My Dell Equalization is not running as it should, so probably those files are a bit further away than they should have been. I very often see that file transfers from there is not very good. So yeah. So here we'll just be installing a server 2016. I'm gonna be picking some choices. I want the Danish. I will install it in English, but I want the Danish time zone and keyboard things. And install now. Hopefully it sees our 40 GB of storage. It wants a product key. We can pick this. I don't have a product key, and it will eat that. But we could also try something else. Notice that when you're inside here, the mouse does not go outside. That's you are locked inside the virtual machine. To get out, you press Ctrl Alt, and the mouse is released, and you can go out. So if we go up here and we search for a license key for server 2016, there is something called a Microsoft server 2016 KMS key activation. Oh, probably that one will do. We will be directed to Microsoft. Well, we actually get some keys right here, and these are legit keys. You can put those in. They will only give you those 180 days. There, we'll borrow that one. It's a normal one. Let's try and put that in. Okay, I hope I got it. so let's continue. Let's see if it eats that one. It did. Server 2016 standard. I usually don't install more than I think I need. Now we get the choice of a standard or a standard with the desktop experience. I kind of like the desktop experience. It makes the server feel like a Windows 10 machine. You can think good things about that, and you can think bad things about that, but next. So you are terms and conditions, yada yada yada. Evaluation, I accept. The KMS license key is for a volume license customer, so you can get away with that for a little bit. So next, and here we can upgrade or we can custom install. We have nothing to upgrade from, so we will of course custom install. It sees our hard drive, that is awesome. Next, and it will just install that. It's tedious. It will probably take a few minutes. Okay, installation is, well, it's not completed, but it's completed enough that the server wants to reboot. And I do believe that I could go and remove the cd-rom now, but it doesn't seem to be using it right now, so probably that is okay. It will probably still be doing some configuration stuff. Maybe we could see how much processing power it is using. Ubiquity server, let's see. Monitoring. Okay, here we at least get the CPU. Disk. Disk usage. Not a lot really. Okay, so now I have to put in my administrator password and stuff like that. And we can do that. There. And we have a server up and running. But it gets really tiresome not to be able to run the mouse outside of this window. So we will have to go and install VMware tools. We can go to the cd-rom drive and we could remove that cd-rom now. We don't need that anymore. Connect that power. So now the cd-rom drive is not mounted. Manage. Here, install VMware tools. These tools will be installed in the operating system, and it will make it a lot easier to do different stuff, like going outside the window. To press Ctrl-Alt-Delete here, it's normal okay to press Ctrl-Alt-Insert there, and it will get the logon screen. Well, when you press Ctrl-Alt-Insert, VMware will send the Ctrl-Alt-Delete to the operating system. So that's very nice, and you need to know that. And it looks just like a Windows 10, and it is asking me about some network. Do you want to allow this PC to be discoverable by other? Do I want that? Yeah, I guess it's okay. Server manager. The server manager is really good, but it's a real drag that it has to start up every single time you log on to a server like this. So that's the first thing we're gonna kill. We'll go in and tell it not to launch server manager every bloody time that we start the server up. There, we do that under manage, server manager properties, and we can hit this check mark down here, and it should not do that. So close. Okay, we have a server here, and that is, I will have to do some updating and other stuff. Yeah, we didn't really get to install the VMware tools. Usually they are put into the CD-ROM drive. When you hit that button, it mounts the CD with these VMware tools, so we can go and install them from here. Double click, and we will set up 64 bits. It will run. What it does, it's install some drivers into the Windows operating system that VMware has designed. So we get some better experience, like we get a better screen driver, we get mouse driver, and some stuff that they have designed so that to make the experience more seamlessly. And I'm just gonna, this is a next finished installation. There's no problems whatsoever. Not on a standard installation like this. If you're doing something really weird, well, it can be a bit tricky. Installing performance monitor. Yeah. So it has completed. Thank you very much. And we have to reboot the server. Very important to know that if you're doing this in a production environment, installing VMware tools will very often result in that you have to reboot the virtual server. You don't want to do that if this is an important server and it's in production, so definitely wait until there is scheduled time for that. So rebooting. Yeah. Now we can see that I can move the mouse in and out. I can press inside and I can still move it outside. And it should also look better. Let's just check that. Nah, it kind of looks the same. It's a really simple task to install Server 2016 on VMware ESXi. All the virtual hardware is being picked up right away. There is no problems whatsoever. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me again do other more interesting stuff along the way. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.